Here we are at the CCA workbench for the Academy Sports Rigs and Techniques, and Mike Avanon from Naples is here. I'm not going to touch you. Coming out here.
That's right.
Coming out here.
We got to maintain 6 feet. That's right.
Coming out here to help us figure out these groupers.
Yeah, talk about groupers.
Now, groupers are great fish for our state, but we have several different ones, and the red and the gags are probably the ones we probably catch the most, and the ones we probably get confused the most.
Right, and actually, you know, red groupers and gag groupers, there seems to be two main movements of fish that we see. Red groupers, what they like to do is they're actually in the shallower water when the temperatures are warm, say maybe as close as 15 miles on the Gulf Coast. And then as the water cools, they like to move offshore. Gags are the opposite. Gags actually like the cooler water. They'll move inshore in the wintertime. Also, what we see is we'll see a movement of fish from north to the south as the water temperature drops in the winter.
They're getting out of the cold as well.
Just like you and I. We were talking about it earlier. You don't like it cold.
So in February, we always, you know, I live up in the Central Florida area. We always thought February was a good time to go in Tampa and whatnot because the fish would be coming in, and those would be in the wintertime. Those would be the gags. The gags, correct.
And actually, you know, a lot of guys, what they like to do is they'll troll a deep diving plug for those gags.
Right, that's what we were doing.
Yeah,
well, a lot of that.
It's a great way to locate new spots and locate new fish.
Plus, we'd catch them in like 15 feet of water sometimes.
Yep. Sometimes right off the dock.
Wow.
Yeah, even in the docks in Tampa Bay, some of the guys will catch some of those nicer gags. And a key time, really, when all that seems to start, it seems to be right around that full moon and Christmas or just after. Late December, early January always seems to be the best time.
So when you're heading out there, and depending on where they are during the time of the year, what kind of bottom are you looking for? So
it's always got to do with structure. You know, it's always, there's got to be a hole there. There's got to be something for him to go into.
They like a hole.
They like to hide. You know, when you hook that fish, his instinct is to go straight for the hole, okay? So what I always tell everybody, as soon as you feel the bump, the most important thing that you can do when you feel that pop is to crank. And don't stop cranking.
Wind.
Exactly. When that rod starts to double over and the drag starts to either peel or he's in the box, you got him. Remember?
That's what we tell everybody when we're snapper fishing and everything. You know, wind. And when you stop winding, wind some more.
That's right. Don't stop until the rod's doubled over or he's just sitting at the side of the boat waiting for you.
Now, what kind of tackle are you using when you're targeting these fish?
On my boat, we typically use 65 to 80 pound braid. And that's plenty of horsepower to get most groupers up out of the bottom and up away from the rocks. As far as terminal tackle, in the wintertime when we're fishing red groupers, we'll use the 80 pound leaders. But when we get into the deeper water, summertime, red snapper season, June, July, or if you're fishing for bigger gags and blacks, we bump our leader up to 100, 125, 150.
Or do you use fluorocarbon, or are you just because you're fishing on the bottom?
And you know, a lot of the red groupers that we fish in the Gulf, they're not really leader shy fish, but when you get into the gags, the blacks, those older fish, the bigger fish, they are leader shy. So yeah, fluorocarbon helps.
Now, what about live baits? Are you using, is that one of the, because that's what I use if I want to catch a grouper where I'm fishing
gags,
usually.
Now gags and blacks, they're definitely more tuned into the live baits. Now scamps, they would be tuned into live baits, squids, jigs work really well, but for the red grouper, in all honesty, a nice stinky bait, especially on the lighter tides when those fish are lazy.
Like a dead pilchard?
A dead pilchard squid. You can never go wrong with squid when you're fishing for red grouper.
Squid,
they love it. Yeah, that's true. So on the lighter tides, right, these fish are a little lazy. The red groupers, all groupers actually are dependent upon the tide. Water movement is key to the bite. The more water movement you have, the harder those fish feed. So what you want on the lighter tides, you want to try to take your time, fish a smelly bait, maybe use a jig. You know, you can tip it with like a fish bites and just to kind of get things going, take your time. On the stronger tides, those fish are feeding harder. You're not going to spend as much time there waiting. If you don't get a bite on it.
When the high tides are running hard, they eat fast.
They're feeding hard, yeah. The harder the tide's moving, the harder the fish are feeding. And then the full moon also, you know, don't be afraid to fish on a full moon. Some of the best red grouper fishing that we see the entire year is always on or before the full moon. That's those good strong tides creating that really good fish bite that you want to see.
And what kind of a weight are you using? Does it depend on how deep you are? Or
we use mainly an 8 ounce. We're fishing in around 100, 120 feet of water most of the time, and 8 ounce seems to do just fine. I'm not worried so much about the lead with this rig because what we're doing, if you take this and you look at it, right, this is the chicken rig that everybody likes to use. They call it a chicken rig, dropper rig, or whatever. So what you do,
I noticed that you've got like a shorter one.
Right,
it's like 12 inches or whatnot.
So the lead isn't that important. It's more for holding the bottom because what you do is you're actually leaving the lead right on the bottom.
So this is a little slack.
Exactly. And with braided line and that little bit of slack, it actually makes it easier to feel that bite, more sensitive, and you'll feel, even on the lighter tides when those fish are lazy and it's just a little tiny bump, you'll feel it.
Now, when he takes off, you start, when you feel him take it off, you start winding immediately.
You just start cranking immediately.
You would have tried to keep it turning his head.
Remember, if you miss him, drop it right back just as fast as you can. It's kind of like with the sailfish. You know, you miss a sailfish, kingfish, whatever.
Sometimes they'll come back.
You drop it right back. With the red groupers, gag groupers, black groupers, drop it right back, because chances are, as soon as that thing hits the bottom, he's going to eat it a second time.
If he hasn't taken the bait, you got another shot at him.
That's right.
And especially with circle hook, because a lot of times that really doesn't hurt him as much anyway.
You don't sting him. Yeah, no.
Well, good, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Looks like dinner coming right back to him there.
Exactly. Well, thanks a lot, man. That worked out good.
Yeah, no. Thank you, sir.
Went quick.
Easy.